Hello students, this is the third video related to the chapter the Prime Minister of India. This we are doing under the head of the Union Executive. In previous two videos, as you know, we have already covered Prime Minister, its appointment, tenure, power and position. Now today we are going to discuss about the Council of Minister. So, the Council of Ministers is led by the Prime Minister, who is the real executive authority of the Indian political system. Now, why the word real executive is used over here? Because as we know, the President of India, though he is the highest position in our country, he is the nominal head of the country. But the real power lies in the hands of the Prime Minister. And that power or that authority to the Prime Minister is aided with the help of Council of Ministers. So, the Prime Minister becomes powerful due to the help, aid and advice of the Council of Ministers. So, we can say Council of Ministers are also very important in running the administration of our country. Article 74 of our Constitution deals with the status of the Council of Ministers, while Article 75 deals with the appointment, tenure, responsibility, oath, qualification, allowances and salaries of the ministers. So we can say Article 74 and 75 both define about the category and all other criterias of the Council of Ministers. These ministers are formed to help and advise the president, who work on the basis of the advice tendered by it. Okay, so whichever the advice is given to the president, as we know, the president work on the advices of the prime minister, and the prime minister get all these advices from the Council of Ministers. So, the advice tendered by the Council of Ministers to the President shall not be inquired in any court of India. So, it cannot be questioned anywhere. Normally, only the member of parliament are appointed as a minister. So, as we know, to be the minister of our country, you need to be the member of the parliament. But there is a discrepancy in that. If in any case a non-member is appointed as a minister, then he must be elected or nominated to the parliament within 6 months from the date of his appointment. So, if within 6 months the person is not appointed, then the person have to resign from the post of the minister. And children, this is very important because this question has been frequently asked in boards. Before 1979, the constitution did not refer to the word cabinet. It referred only to the Council of Ministers. Before than that, we were not knowing the different categories of the ministers of the Council of Ministers. The 44th Amendment Act provides that the President shall not issue a proclamation of national emergency unless the decision of the Union Cabinet, that is, the Prime Minister and the other ministers of cabinet rank, has been communicated to him in writing. So, this was the first incident when it was used, the term was used, cabinet was used in our Indian constitution. Before than this, never ever it has been used in our Indian constitution. So, after this, the difference between the cabinet and the Council of Ministers has become evident. Then only it was clear what was the difference between cabinet and Council of Ministers, because previously, before than the 1979, Council of Ministers as a whole was giving advice and help, aid and advice to the president in form of the Prime Minister. So, the Constitution of India does not specify either the number of members of the Council of Members or classify the members of the Council into different ranks. So, therefore, we can say that there is no categories or no classification regarding the Council of Ministers, and neither there is no specification of how many members should be there in the Council of Ministers. However, the Constitution please make a correction over here, the spelling of constitution. Okay, then 91th Amendment Act, it should be constitution spelling, constitution, TUTION. Okay, 91th Amendment Act 2003 has put a ceiling on the size of the Council of Ministers at the center and in the state to 15% of the strength. Whatever is the strength of the Lok Sabha, as per the strength of the Lok Sabha, 15% of that has to be the part of the to be the Council of Ministers, to be appointed as the cabinet. Okay, so in the case of smaller states, the maximum number of ministers allowed is 12. In bigger state, 15% of the total strength, and in smaller state, at least 12 ministers are allowed. Maximum 12 are allowed. This step was taken to check defection from one party to another, and also to curb the government. Curb means to keep a check the government expenditure on account of jumbo size ministries. Okay, basically previously what used to happen, as many of the political party used to promise to give ministries to many of the people, those who were elected in the house. So they used to give support to those political parties. So just to please more and more people, various allotments were done regarding the ministries and all. So just to suppress and to keep a control over all these things, basically the number or the percentage is being decided as per the 91st Amendment Act. So now, though we know there is no categorization, but still, if broadly we classify Council of Minister, that can be done under cabinet ministers, ministers of state, and deputy ministers. Minister of states also can be of two types: ministers of states and ministers of state of independent charges. Okay, so here for you we need to just discuss about the three categories, that is the cabinet ministers, ministers of state, and deputy ministers. Now, who are the cabinet ministers? They are the most important members of the Council of Ministers. Why? Because they hold all the important portfolios like home, defense, finance, external affairs, railways, and the other posts like this, and they are only responsible for these certain departments. Okay, so a cabinet minister is in charge of ministry and sometimes of more than one ministry. Okay, only cabinet ministers have a right to attend meetings of the cabinet. That means the ministers of state and deputy minister will not be allowed to attend the meeting of the cabinet, because these ministers are the most trustworthy ministers of the prime minister. These minister only decides program and policies of the government. All the announcements which are made, basically these ministers only, they provide all that and make all these programs and policies. They together determine, as I have told, the policy and program of the government. Then the ministers of state, they are the second category of ministers. They may or may not hold any independent charge of any portfolio. So either they might hold independent charge, or they may hold independent, might and might not hold the independent charge of their ministries. Okay, the prime minister may or may not consult them. It is not necessary that the prime minister will consult them, but for cabinet definitely it is necessary that prime minister or president will consult the cabinet ministers. They may be invited to attend the meetings when matters concerning the departments are being concerned, like if health department is there, and if any issue arises in health department, so definitely ministers of states, those who are responsible for health department, will be called from the state itself. Then the deputy ministers. The deputy ministers are the third category of ministers who assist the cabinet ministers and the council of ministers. Usually they are the junior most ministers of the council of ministries. They are placed under senior ministers whom they have to assist. They take no part in cabinet deliberations. Okay, So here also, or we can say most of the most powerful ministers comes under the category of cabinet ministers. Then this is very important, children. Frequently this question is asked, the distinction between, so the difference between council of ministers and cabinet. This question can be asked in short questions also, but most of the time it is asked in structured questions. So the council of ministers consists of all categories of ministers. So as I have told, if the word council of minister comes, that will consist of cabinet ministers, it will consist of state ministers as well as deputy ministers. So all the categories will come under it. Then if we come to the cabinet minister is a smaller group consisting of senior ministers holding important portfolios. So cabinet is the part of the council of minister. Then second difference, the prime minister may or may not consult the other ministers below than the rank of cabinet ministers, but the prime minister will always consult the cabinet ministers. Then third difference, in day-to-day working day or working life, the government, the council of ministers as a whole rarely meet, okay, but cabinet meets as frequently to determine the program and policies of the government. Fourth difference, in reality it is not the council of ministers that advises the president, though the constitution assigns this responsibility to it. Here again the spelling of constitution is incorrect, children, kindly make the changes. Then cabinet, in day-to-day governance of the country, it is the cabinet that advises the president. Then what is the individual responsibility of the ministers? We get two terms in our context of the council of ministers, children. This is again very important, frequently asked questions: individual responsibility and collective responsibility. Most of the time it is asked in structured question, okay, in short question also it could be asked, okay. So individual ministerial responsibility refers to the convention that ministers are responsible to the parliament for the action of his or her department. So as the name suggests, individual responsibility. So individual means that individually a person is responsible for his or her own act or on his decision which they have taken for this specific department. For example, if any mistake is being done by the finance minister, or maybe the department of finance, and anybody in the minister of person from the department of finance, then the question will be raised to that particular department but not to whole of the cabinet. So minister hold office during the pressure of the president and may be dismissed by him on the advice of the prime minister, okay. Then what is the collective responsibility? Collective, as the name suggests, for which we are collectively responsible, okay. So here what is the collective responsibility? In India, collective responsibility implies to two things. It is applicable for two things. All council of ministers must publicly support all government decisions, all the governmental decision, whether personally if I disagree also on any government issue or any government decision, then also I cannot oppose my own political party, okay. So if I am the member of BJP and right now the government is of BJP, so I cannot contradict my own political party in his own decision publicly, but definitely a person can have their own different opinions, yes. So all ministers are collectively responsible for their work towards Lok Sabha. So all the members over here of the cabinet will be responsible for towards the Lok Sabha, okay. Then the whole council of ministers will work as a team. No minister can express their views against the decision of cabinet, and every minister will have an equal sort of responsibility towards Lok Sabha. So the Article 74 of Constitution says that every union minister will be responsible for their work towards the Lok Sabha. If a member of a cabinet want to openly object the cabinet decision, then they are asked to resign from the cabinet. So they cannot go against of their own government, against of their own policies which they have for their political party. And if such situation is there, and what else covers up the collective responsibility? If the prime minister resigns, then whole of the cabinet has to resign. So this is what is the collective responsibility, in which collectively all the ministers are responsible. If prime minister will resign, then whole of the cabinet will resign. But in individual responsibility, only one person either has to resign or has to be dismissed in individual responsibility. But in collective responsibility, all are responsible collectively. So collective responsibility, cabinet collective responsibility is also known as collective ministerial responsibility. It is a constitutional convention in parliamentary system that members of the cabinet must publicly support all governmental decisions made in cabinet, even if they do not privately agree with them. This support includes voting for the government in the legislature. If a member of the cabinet wishes to openly object to a cabinet decision, then they are obliged to sign from the position in the cabinet. And the cabinet collectively responsibility is related to the fact that if a vote of no confidence is passed in parliament, the government is responsible collectively, and thus the entire government resigns. So as I have told you that whole of the cabinet resigns. So this is what is the collective responsibility. So with this I conclude the chapter, children. If you have any queries, you can ask me. Thank you.